Hello again, everybody, and to anyone who might watch. I haven't done a video for quite some time now. Mainly because I just got fed up with being able to upload my route onto the Steam site itself, so I wouldn't have to risk losing my route again. Unfortunately, with that, I wasn't able to do it because of all the restrictions and I'm presuming third-party assets or whatever. Not that I believe that I have any third-party, and if I did, I've uninstalled them to try and get it to work. So yeah, it just really put me off for a good 6-ish months. I did have help from a very nice lad called Spike on Steam, who got me the closest ever to being able to upload to Steam. He's a bit more in the know with uploading and what can't be in the assets for it to actually upload properly, and even he couldn't figure it out, and he's been helping people upload routes onto the site for a long time. So thank you to him anyway. As unfortunate it is that I couldn't upload it today, because that's where I mainly wanted it. I have successfully uploaded my route now, though, to trainsim.com. So the route is on there. I shall be putting another update on there very shortly once I've finished Abermule, which isn't far off now. The majority of the foundation stuff, I suppose you could say, is there. So changes to this route now, or what I'm going to show. Basically, the first one is the track. I basically had to rip up all the track from Halt, where we are now, all the way up to Abermule, because it was under a just trains track format, which apparently Steam does not like whatsoever. So that was one of the things that has taken me a long time to get to the stage I am now. Very fiddly, and then obviously to find out again that it wasn't the track causing the problem, unbeknownst to me. Anyway, yeah, so all the track's been redone. There's a few changes on my surrounding Halt and Newtown itself. There isn't as much, so this should be quite a short video. But yeah, let's get to it. I forgot how steep this bank is. We won't stop where there isn't any progress, so to speak. Let me just double check that I'm actually in easy drive mode, which I believe was Control A, was it? Yeah, there we go. That's off now, because I'm a bit of a, even though I love steam locomotives, I'm a bit of a derp when it comes to actually being able to drive the things. I know the majority of the switches, but for some reason when it's on advanced, I just end up blowing out the cylinders, which obviously isn't good. Yeah, it's quite steep coming out of there, but I think that's how it was in reality. Of course, scaffold halt and the private siding doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately. So it's more just I'm going with what looks right. and at the same time just trying to keep it as close to the realism of the route as possible. There was a slight upside to actually ripping up all the track. Excuse me. I was able to add in track rumble over the bridges. So obviously makes it that little bit more realistic. I don't know if it'll pick it up, but it's very subtle. Surround sound headphones are your best bet if you do want to hear the difference, but it is there, and it does give it that little bit more realism. So yeah, scenery-wise between here and... Oh, hang on. We can stop here for a split second and just put all the handbrakes on. I was about to say there hasn't been much changes. There has been one... I wouldn't say it's a big change, but it's not a small one either. And that is with Newtown College. This would have all been farmland way before this was built, but as you can see, there's literally farmland absolutely everywhere on either side of the map. So yeah, I went with the college, but I tried to give it more of a Victorian era look to it, which I think looks a lot better. I do believe the older version of it using different buildings is in the previous video. Well, I can't really remember what was the previous video now because it's been quite a long time. Keep forgetting to shut off the coal loading and water loading when I'm talking. I do that all the time anyway. But yeah, I think that this looks a lot better. It gives it a much more of an era look to it, because it was quite a sore thumb, the college area, with how modern the buildings on it were. Anyway, let's see it done again. Let's continue. Just take off the handbrakes. Still need to figure out how to use the Xbox controller with Train Sim. Makes, panning around a lot smoother, not as janky as using a mouse. But it does the job for now. Yeah, I've had a few buildings disappear there. Oh no, that was a play area. Whoops. Just stop here again. Won't bother picking up passengers for now. It's a bit pointless. So I want to keep this video as short as possible. Oh, we've just hit the 10-minute mark. It's not too bad. So yeah, scaffold halt, rather than having the type of platform that was back down at scaffold halt and what's in Newtown. It seemed more realistic to have it as a wooden halt. Again, I have no idea what this halt looked like. I think it was still there in maybe the 70s or the 80s, I'm not 100% sure. It was a very short-lived halt, built after the 60s, I think. I could be wrong though. But I think that looks nicer, and it also gives the line somewhat of a different feel to it. So yeah, we'll continue on again. Ah, there you go. The track rumble definitely kicked in there. I'm glad I found that, because I didn't realise there was that option when you're going to put track down. If you click on one of the little drop boxes, you can select what type of bridge it goes over, if it's going under a bridge, if it's wide or narrow, that kind of thing, and it gives slightly different variations in the rumble of the track. Another upside to... There's another little change there, little crossover between the high school and the housing estate. Oh, I've made mistakes. I've gone down into the siding, but never mind. Gives a better view of slight track changes I've made to certain parts of the line. Yeah, so basically, I with ripping it up, I've made the curves a lot less sharp, which is more realistic to the line. I mean, the line is quite windy in places, but it wasn't as sharp as I had it in previous videos, so that was another upside, excuse me, again, of having to rip up the track and relay it, and it does look a lot nicer the way it flows now, rather than just being a very sharp corner turning off. Right, so let's flick this into reverse. Yep, done it again. Move the water. Yep, almost 15 minutes. It's still not too bad. Just put the brake on again. Flip the switch, and we'll just go into here just to make sure we are actually going on the right part of the line. Yeah, that's the one that always catches me off. next stop is... Oh, and you need to go that way. Let's get a bit of sand down because it's a very steep... It's quite steep actually climbing up to the station level. There's the high school again. I'm hoping eventually I can find a better old buildings pack so I can make the high school maybe out of stone buildings rather than just brick. Yes, I think this was 1 in 55. It's probably quite a bit steeper than what it was in reality, but yeah. That's one of the things I've always struggled to find is gradients on certain parts of the line, so I just tried to give undulations, rises and falls in the track height, just to give it that bit more realism again. We'll just coast into the station now. Pop the brakes on again. So the changes in Newtown. Well, the first major one, and probably the biggest headache, was putting this gravel down. It wasn't using the paint tool that is on here. I would have used it, but it's just... It doesn't stay within lines, if that makes sense. So I'd be painting up against a fence or something and it would go out there even if I had it set to 10 for some reason. So I found gravel, which you just click on the track and make your line and whatever, and you just use that and follow it, and it does give much better... Well, it looks a lot neater is the easiest way to put it, but yeah. So the other changes. First little one is I've changed the repair shed to a stone one because it looks a lot nicer than the brick one. And obviously all this foliage as well, just to give it a bit more of a natural look. So it looks quite nice, I think, myself. Yeah. Got all the grass and the weeds going up along the fences. The next little thing I've changed, I don't know if I've shown this in my older videos, I can't remember. These two lines connected into one, and then they joined onto that to go into the fueling depot. It's not a depot, it's more just a refill area. I disconnected that, cut it all, because I believe now that it was just two sidings rather than two loops that were also a siding at the same time. So to avoid the main line, I added this loop, which I think actually was there. It's a bit hard to tell on the old 19-inch graph maps. Yeah, that's that change. We've also got on the repair shed another coal and water stage. So you've got one for, you know, when you're testing an engine, it comes out, does its steam test and whatever. Can fill on coal and water if it's good or not. I've been moving about the buildings quite a bit as well, and I've added these little white gates into the walls, just again for a bit more realism. Couple of building changes. I don't know if you remember in the previous videos, I had those blue and yellow houses, 2-storey. They look very out of place, so I've changed them to these 4-storey stone houses. Because it was an industrial housing estate right next to the railway. I think that probably goes right back to the earliest days of when it was the Newtown and Oswestry Railway. So that's way before the big four of the LMS, Southern, Great Western and London North Eastern. So yeah, that was that change, and that goes all the way down to the end of the housing estate. And see, I've finally filled in down this little road here that goes into the houses further down. They've all got walls and gates. I won't go down there because they are there, and it's just wasting more time really. Again, it's just for that bit more realism rather than just big open green patches between the houses. This was another one. It's just a big open fields sort of between there, so I've just filled it in with some bracken and that kind of thing, just to give it a bit more of a wild look to it, because that's how railways were for the majority of the time back then. They didn't really care about, you know, weeds growing in fences and fields and whatever. It was just, you know, whatever was the quickest way to move things about, and so, you know, things like that wasn't really a bother to them back then. This little yard here has now been filled in. Travis Perkins' yard it is. I don't know what it was before, and so yeah, that's also another little wood yard along with that one, but I'm going to say this one's more of a processing plant, whereas this one is just for, you know, the town, whereas that one would send it out elsewhere. Yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've been doing. It's taken a long time to get to this stage, obviously with the break I had from the game. I just had to stop for a while because I was just getting too frustrated, which is unfortunate, but yeah, I'm back to it now and have been for the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I've done quite a lot. As I said, Abermule is the next, will be in the next video. I've done quite a lot down there, but I won't show it yet. I'd rather show it when it's complete. So anyways, hope you've enjoyed this video. I said I was going to try and keep it short, but I can never seem to be able to do that, but never mind. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.